Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to Mind for Combat. If you're new to the channel, my name is Rohan, and in this video I'll be taking a look at the latest installment of the upcoming Jake Paul fight show. Now this is very exciting because he takes on former UFC welterweight champion and UFC welterweight great Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley is not Ben Askren. Now yes, I picked Ben Askren to win, but Jake Paul's a lot better than I gave him credit for, and that's starting to become apparently obvious to everyone who's watching the Jake Paul show. But Tyron Woodley is not Ben Askren. Ben Askren is a fighter that was lauded for his, well, laughed at for his striking throughout his MMA career. He's not a guy that ever done any real work on his striking. He just based his whole career based on his wrestling, and the goal for him was to learn how to strike, and essentially the lead up to that fight. And then he thought that his competitive experience would give him the advantage that he needed to be able to beat Jake Paul. That's not the case with Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley is a knockout artist who's knocked out some of the best welterweights in the UFC's history, including Robbie Lawler. He knocked out Josh Koscheck. He knocked out Jay Heron. All fighters. Well, Robbie Lawler is obviously on a much higher level than both those other two, but all of those are fighters that are great strikers, including Jay Heron. And also he dropped Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, an undefeated world champion kickboxer. Tyron Woodley has worked on his boxing in particular for years with Freddie Roach, and if you've seen any of Tyron Woodley's training clips in the lead up to this fight that he's already put out, he's already looking exceptionally better than Ben Askren. Now Ben Askren Tyron Woodley may be 40 years old, but he's an incredible talent and an incredible fighter. And in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the fight from purely Tyron Woodley's perspective and discussing why Tyron Woodley will destroy Jake Paul in their upcoming fight. What I will do in the lead up to the fight, I'll also do a video from the other side and talk about why Jake Paul will destroy Tyron Woodley in the fight. And then before the fight, I'll give my official preview and breakdown, prediction, and that will all be on my channel. So if you're new to this channel, do remember to like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Anyways, so when we're looking at this fight, the first thing that stands out for me that Tyron Woodley has is his punching power. This is not something that Jake Paul has ever experienced in a fighting environment before. He's never fought a true fighter who has boxing skills, and Tyron Woodley presents that. But more than that, what he presents is his power. Tyron Woodley is a true knockout artist in every sense of the word. He has one-shot knockout power, and he's been putting out guys throughout his career. He dropped Darren Till, he dropped Wonderboy Thompson, and as I mentioned, he's not got a lot of high-level knockouts in his career. Tyron Woodley carries big power that Jake Paul hasn't experienced. Ben Askren obviously has no punching power. Then he's fought fighters such as Nate Robinson, not even fighters, a basketball player such as Nate Robinson. He beat up a YouTuber, so he hasn't actually fought anyone with any credible power that has tested him. Not to say that anyone is even connected flushly, but no one has actually tested Jake Paul in any way, shape or form yet. So therefore this is going to be the first time in his career where he faces power. How's he going to deal with that? Now there's no reason for me to believe that he's going to handle that well, take it well and carry on fighting, or even cover up well. And this is not going to be the type of hits that he's absorbed in the gym. In the gym, they just won't hit you as hard as Tyron Woodley is going to be swinging to take Jake Paul's head off. This is going to be a very difficult fight for Jake Paul, and it's going to be very interesting to see how he deals with Tyron Woodley's power. So the first reason why Tyron Woodley destroys Jake Paul is his power. Now I kind of mentioned this already, but the second reason is Tyron Woodley having legitimate boxing skills. He has trained his striking throughout the course of his career, because he weren't just a fighter that relied on his wrestling to get the wins. He was a fighter that developed a skill set that was complete. Yes, he shined in his wrestling at the early stage of his career, but in his championship reign, people were terrified of his punching power, and that's something that he developed over years. So it's not something that he's going to be coming into this fight for the first time with. And yes, he's refining it for this fight, but this is going to be very different to anyone that Jake Paul's been in there with. Jake Paul may have it in him, the heart, the grit, determination, but has he got the skills to be able to match someone who's actually been training stand-up for over a decade now and has actually won world championships with the use of his hands on the feet by knocking people out? His skills. Another thing is his experience. So Tyron Woodley will destroy Jake Paul because of his experience. The experience that he's had competitively, not just as a wrestler, as an amateur growing up, but as a mixed martial artist. And he's been in there with some of the best of the best. He's been in there, he got brutally stopped by Nate Marquardt, and that's all experience that you can't replicate. He's obviously on a slump now, but that's irrelevant in a way, because he's fighting the best mixed martial artists in the world. That slump includes Kamaru Usman, who's now probably the pound for pound best fighter in MMA right now. So what's the issue there? It includes Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, it includes Vicente Luque, all fighters that if they was fighting Jake Paul, you would be ready to, book a funeral for him. So this is why should he be written off just because of that? That experience that he's had with the best fighters in the world, being in there with Robbie Lawler, with Stephen Thompson twice, being in there with Josh Koscheck, Carlos Condit, being in there with Paul Semtex Daly, being in there with Nate Marquardt when Marquardt was in his prime, being in there with Jake Shields, all of these great fighters that Tyron Woodley's been in there with, and he's been in the trenches, in the hard fights when he's tired, the wars, he's exhausted, he's in pain, he's got nothing left, and he's pushed through. If you don't believe me, watch the Stephen Thompson fight, the first one. That was an absolute war of a fight, and he pushed through because Tyron Woodley is great. Tyron Woodley is not a joke of a fighter. He's one of the best fighters in the world. May not be it anymore, but if he had even an ounce of what he had at that point and he brings it into this fight, he's going to win. So his experience is going to be something that shines. He's seen it and felt it all. He's taken the hard strikes. This isn't Ben Askren who shot for a takedown every time he got the opportunity. Tyron Woodley's coming in there to fight. He's knocked out people on his feet before, and that's no doubt what he's going to be looking to do here. And finally, that brings me to the real point, which kind of encompasses it all. He's a real well-rounded mixed martial artist and complete fighter. Ben Askren was a real fighter, but he was a wrestler. He was not a complete fighter, and he never was a complete fighter. Ben Askren in his prime didn't know how to throw a punch, so it wasn't something that he was going to learn now. Tyron Woodley has always been a complete fighter, and this is going to be the first time that Jake Paul is stepping into the ring with someone who has a complete skill set, boxing ability, and the ability to hurt, rock, and stop him. This will be the first time that he has that. First time that he's going to be fighting someone that they've been hurt on the feet before and been able to compose themselves against trained killers. Now, I just need to be clear. I respect Jake Paul a hell of a lot for taking this fight. It's actually incredible that he's doing it. Do I think that this is going to go well for him? No, but I will be doing a video from his perspective as well. So those are my reasons why Tyron Woodley destroys Jake Paul. Now remember, to comment below, let me know what you think about this video. Obviously, it's probably going to trigger some people, but stick around for some of my other content. Remember, if you're new here, to like, subscribe, share the video, help me grow the platform. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm Rohan, and this is Mind for Combat.